Renee Emily Utley, and welcome back to the channel of possibilities. To backtrack, the reason I was even introduced to this is about 2 years ago, I went to the dentist after years of not going to the dentist, and I'm just being honest, and she told me that I had some cavities and that I had something called periodontal disease. And while I was in the office, I was acting all cool, calm, and reserved, but I promise you, when I got in the car, I broke down. I was crying. I was upset because that really had hurt my feelings, because up until then I had perfect oral health, and I just felt like, they kind of knocked me down a couple pegs. So in situations like that, I do what I normally do. I call my mama and I cried to my mama for a second, and then I prayed about it, and then I got to researching, because one thing that I knew is I didn't want to have a whole lot of procedures done. I didn't want drilling and stuff to happen in my mouth. So I was like, okay, God, you're gonna have to show me a different way, because I don't want this for myself. In the research that I was doing, I came across this book called Cure Tooth Decay. And it has some amazing information in it. Honestly, I would encourage anybody who cares about being better and eating better, who's concerned about nutrition, to read this. In reading the book, I discovered that beans, legumes, and nuts have something in it called phytic acid. Now, phytic acid in itself isn't bad, but too much of it, which these foods do have, is not good for your body. And that's because phytic acid is an enzyme inhibitor, meaning it blocks the absorption of vitamins and minerals. So a lot of times people think just because they eat healthy that they are protected against things like oral disease, oral sicknesses, or a number of things that go on in the body. But that's not true, because if the foods that you are eating, your body isn't able to absorb the vitamins and minerals in said foods, then it's like your body will go into a state where it is not functioning as it should. So there is so much more that can be said about this topic. So I encourage you to go and do your own research, but I wanted to say a little bit about it, about why I decided to try this out and what I'm doing. So without further ado, let's get into soaking these nuts.
You want to make sure you have some raw almonds, just to ensure that they have not been flash heated, so all of the vitamins and minerals inside the almonds have been preserved. A sprouting jar or bowl to soak the nuts in. A nut milk bag to separate the liquid and the pulp. 2 to 4 dates to sweeten. Some natural sea salt. Vanilla extract, and this is totally optional. And filtered water, because the nuts are going to soak anywhere from 8 to 12 hours, and you want to make sure that they are absorbing pure and clean water. So I start this process by dumping the nuts out and just giving them a quick rinse with some faucet water. From there, I transfer them into my sprouting jar and then add my filtered water. Make sure you really cover your almonds good in water, because they're going to swell and get really juicy. So make sure you have more than enough water covering the almonds. Then you just add your salt, cover it up, and you want to sit it in a dark place overnight. So I ended up letting my nuts soak for about 24 hours, and you can kind of see what's going on. The water got really murky and cloudy. So after I get rid of the dirty water, I dump the nuts out and give them a quick rinse to make sure none of that just cloudy, sticky stuff was left on the nuts. And what I like to do, I like to de-shell the almonds. So I separate the outer part with the inner meat, and it's really easy to do. It takes it took me about 20 minutes to get through all of the nuts, but again, it's really easy to separate. Right here you can see that the nuts have sprouted, because at the top they have these extra little nodules. Now it's time to blend the nuts up. I am using my high-powered blender, my Vitamix. So I ended up not using all the nuts. I used about a third of them, and I put the others in a Ziploc bag and stored them in the freezer. Then I pitted 2 dates and added them into the blender. Next, I added vanilla extract. Now, this is totally optional. You do not have to do this if you don't want to, but I like it because it gives it that extra vanilla flavor. So the last thing that I added was filtered water. I ended up adding more water after this, about a cup, because it was a little too thick, which is fine because I like my milk on the thicker side, but it was more like a milkshake instead of like milk, so I had to add a little bit more water. I blended everything on high for 2 minutes, and then I transferred it into my nut milk bag. You want to remember to have a bowl under the nut milk bag. To get all of the milky goodness out, I knead it. So I knead and then I squeeze and I twirl. I knead and I squeeze and I twirl, and I do this and then I release it. And then I do it again. I did this process for a total of 3 times to get the amount of almond milk that I got. Now, when I finished, I still had some almond pulp left, so I took that out of the nut milk bag and I put it in a Ziploc bag, and I also stored it in a freezer. You can actually use the pulp that's left over to make a whole lot of stuff. This is the delicious nut milk I was left with. Now remember, I only blended about a third of the nuts, so had I blended them all, I really could have filled up the pitcher. But this is only good for 3 to 7 days, and I only like to make just enough for me to drink without it going bad.
So I hope that you learned something and that you enjoyed this video. But it took me, in all honesty, it took me a while to fully wrap my mind around the sacrifices that I was going to have to make in order to do what I need to do. Because like I said, I do believe that food is our medicine, and I want to heal my body as naturally as possible. This is the channel of possibilities, and I'm very, very committed to standing on the promises of God and the promise that He gave us, that, you know, He died on the cross for not only our sins, but for our sicknesses and our diseases. He died on the cross for me to have complete health, and I'm going to do what I can with my strength, because obviously faith without works is dead, and lean on God for supernatural power, and have a course of treatment plan with my dentist. I do want to kind of bring you along the journey with me to show you a few things that I'm doing to help heal my mouth naturally. I strongly encourage you to go online and do your own research and try to get in contact with some holistic dentists in your area. They more than likely will take a wide angle approach to helping you heal your teeth. So that's all I have for now. Until next time, bye. Be blessed. Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to say before I left. Here lately, people have been asking me about like things in my videos as far as what I'm wearing or what makeup that I'm putting on. So I'm going to start leaving links in the description box below for the things that I'm wearing or whatever, so you can find what you're looking for. So be sure to click the tab below and read what's in the description box before you like go in the comments and be like, hey, what shirt is that, or what lip color is that? I got you, boo. Don't you worry. Okay, bye.